bail out with that segue. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, visionaries. Welcome to Velen's Chosen. This is episode 147, and we are back. Some of us more than others. Mostly talking about myself, but my name's Rob. Welcome to the podcast that's built to buff your game. We talk about pretty much anything and everything, but this week we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with the BoomsDAAAY. I wish I had one of those echo chamber like audio things where it would just like echo into infinity.
Boom,
after
boom,
that.
boom, boom, boom.
BoomsDAAAY. Echoing alongside me is Watchman HS, aka the Grantest of Goulds. What's up, Grant?
Ah, yes. You can call me Granticus Maximus if you wish. My Roman name applies today. But I haven't done any conquering of many things lately, least of all ladder. But, you know, hey.
And the dawn on the eve of the lore, we have the lore master herself, Eve Martin. What's up, Eve?
I'm doing good. Can I just get like a flavor check here with you guys without going into it at all? What's your first impressions of the new expansion? It's like right off the top.
Hype.
Dude.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for more Mech Mage. That's all I have to say.
All right. We're excited. We
Yeah.
like it. We're good.
I want to see some more Mech Mage. Also, Draxus being a part of this is pretty fantastic. They're bringing back two of our old friends, Dr. Boom and Draxus. So one of them's a hero card, which I am Omega hyped for because it's going to Warrior, one of my favorite classes in the game. Out of 3, it's one of the ones that I've played the most. So, all right. Wow, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we probably have a lot of people that are not in the Discords or not following us on Twitter that listen to the show that are probably wondering why we didn't have a show last week. So we were kind of thinking about how we normally do this, where we have our what we call Weatherstone at the beginning, and it kind of overlaps with this. And so in the pre-show, we were talking about how this is a natural disaster stone this week. So that being said, I didn't want to like just come out and say what happened. I would rather like just ask or have like we wanted to have even Grant kind of just ask what was going on. And for what they know and what they don't know, and we can kind of go from there. But there was a natural disaster in Japan this week, and it had lots of flooding, and it was basically a typhoon that we normally get, but one of the arms kind of broke off, and then the whole thing kind of spun out, and we had rain for like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 days, and like we had like 1 day off, and it was just really cloudy, super humid between that, and then the end of it was just nonstop rain for I think it was over 48 hours, and it was hard rain for like 48 hours.
I had to figure it out from your Twitter matrix that you created, because every time somebody asked you a question, you're like, look at my Twitter. Look at my Twitter. So I went to Rob's Twitter, and it was like all these videos, and then because of how Twitter works in timelines, I started
Oh.
getting really confused.
Yes.
I thought I need a degree in how to read Twitter, apparently, but
Because nothing is chronological. Yeah, I was following in Discord too.
Mm.
So what I thought was like it started out you were getting ready to batten down the hatches, like saving water, turning things off, like getting all ready to be in it for the long haul, and you weren't going to leave, and you thought you were good, and then all of a sudden you had to go.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we basically were getting so much rain, and we live right next to a river out here in Yamaguchi Prefecture. We're on the southeast side, not as far east, probably more like south by southeast, I guess you could say, or south, something like that. I think that's the correct term. So we're not necessarily like dead center south or like just offshoot of that. We're probably a little bit more east than south in the central area, because our prefecture is like more of like a wide idea, kind of like your Tennessees or stuff like that. But we're still about a 15th the land size of Indiana, to give you an idea if you're in the States or near Canada trying to get like some form of size comparison. That's how big our prefecture is. About a 15th the size of Indiana, and Indiana is about four and a half sizes smaller than Japan.
Rob, I speak Texas. I only know things as compared to Texas. You have
Okay,
to
our
speak my
prefecture is
language.
about as big as Houston. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
So that's not accurate at all, by the way. That's full sarcasm. But
You have 2 million people in the city limit,
yeah.
and not the greater area.
So basically, the big issue was that the arm that hit Japan was not hitting how it normally does, where it kind of like spirals in and goes out, and then spirals in again and goes out until it like loses speed, wind speed, and all the rain kind of hits mostly over the ocean as it spins. As you know, you get hit really hard as it kind of moves inland, but kind of just goes out. Well, this one had like broken up to the point where it stopped really spinning, and it like just moved in this giant line, and it was like perfectly the size of the lower part of the J in Japan, including like the Shikoku Island and Kyushu, the lower island. And it just kind of like went there and sat for so long. And then like when you thought it was like dissipating out, we just got hit with another one like right after that. And our
Was it
rivers,
scary?
yeah, our rivers and Japan is super mountainous. Like even small mountains are just everywhere. And my prefecture is Yamaguchi, like in direct translation literally means entrance to the mountains. So there's mountains everywhere. So there's landslides, there's small ones, there's big landslides. There's one like just down the street, it's probably a 10-minute bike ride or less, and that's about where it is. Maybe like 30 minutes by foot you could get there or less. There's a landslide just over there. It knocked 2 cars into a field, and both of them were basically totaled. They had to get a crane to pull them out. Ran into the like pushed it through the side of the building, ripped off the entire paneling. The whole like bamboo forest that kind of lines most of the what's it called, the small mountain that's there. There's like an entire just section that's just like completely gone. There's no trees, no nothing there. It's just dirt from the landslide. And the landslide like also went off from the other side, which like I'm not even kidding, probably missed this house by like 3 feet, and it would have completely destroyed the house. And then our river got not just to the edge of the bank where it goes to the bridge, it overflowed on like our section and the entire area of our community up to the main street, just a little bit past our main street for a really large area, was underwater. And I'm not even saying like it was just underwater. I'm saying like it almost was it's probably about a half a meter, so about 2 to 3, somewhere between 2 to 3 feet of standing water in almost all of the buildings inside.
That's a lot.
And we were kind of staying home because we're on the 4th floor of an apartment complex that has like a half flight of stairs to go up to even the 1st floor. So we thought we'd be fine. Even some of the 1st floor residents thought they'd be fine. They just had to go move their cars to a safer area that's away from the river and then come back. So honestly, we were fine. It got up to the 3rd step in our apartment complex. So I had like 3 more steps, and then it was going to go into the 1st floor. And that would have like, to give you an idea, all of the homes in the area, the roofs are like just below our 4th level in our community. So I was above the floor of my apartment is above the roofs of our community. So I was fine. But we didn't want to be stranded, and we didn't want to be without power and without water. So that's why we evacuated. And technically we could have been fine, but we don't have what's called a portable, like a portable
Generator?
stovetop with like kerosene or gasoline heater to like help us out with heating up our water so that we could boil it and then like store it. And I didn't know how much of our electricity would be gone. It's one of those things where it's like you have no clue how long this is going to be out of commission for. So we just decided to evacuate, which was the nearest school. And I mean, we had like the landlady that was in my tower came up and said that she's staying and she's in the 3rd floor. The fire department came by and just like, hey, you guys should probably get out, but if you're on the 4th floor, you should be okay. So we had to like call somebody to figure out what he was saying to translate for us. I had my supervisor who's actually on maternity leave, who was super concerned, messaging us, Carrie's friend. They're just like, are you guys okay? Are you going to evacuate? Do you need help? And it got to the point where when we had to evacuate, the water had gone higher than our parking lot, higher than where the bike area was, and it like just got up to the threshold of starting to crest over to where the main area was to start climbing the stairs. And just to give you guys an idea, I haven't bought boots in probably like 6 years, 8 years. Even when I was living in Wisconsin, I just never owned boots. So I always wore shoes. So I ruined a pair of shoes because we had to go up to my mid-thigh was where we had to wade to get out in the main street. It was up to my mid-thighs. This is about 3 a.m. when we were evacuating.
Gosh.
And when we got back, there was about, I don't know how to convert this to centimeters. I want to say it's pretty close to about 30. Hang on. Carrie, do you have a handy, like a ruler?
Ruler?
Do you have a ruler? Even a small one, just a small one.
I only have one side.
Okay, so it was about, to give you an idea, if you're on this live stream here, I want to say it was about not quite 10 centimeters. Maybe it was 10 centimeters. We'll say that. So 10 centimeters, about 3 to 4 inches of mud.
Just everywhere?
Everywhere.
Mm.
Some places more. Like we were at you have to keep in mind, like the street was like the edge of where it was at. And then like when we got to our apartment, it was more and more and more the closer you got to the river. And everything was completely encased in mud, and people were racing against the clock even when it was raining, just trying to clear it out. Because if we waited, it was just going to be hard because it gets hot in July, August.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't want to be doing this.
Cement.
Yeah, but like 7-Eleven got destroyed. They just opened yesterday, and they're saying that all of the train lines, because of this in our area, are closed. And some people are saying it was going to take a week, and most people are saying it's going to be about a month before the trains are back up.
Yeah,
And
sounds about right.
school is out for school's back in session, supposed to be back in session this last Monday, and was basically just going to be open for 2 weeks, and then the kids were going to go off on summer vacation. And our school is basically closed indefinitely because about 80% of our school population comes by train. So everything's kind of just like shut down. There's like stores that are just closed because the owners or the workers are just like isolated, or they're like they need to clean their home area. And so they're just like, just shut down the store for like 2 or 3 days, even if it's not damaged. And then there's other stores that are just completely destroyed. The ramen shop right across our house, that's like their livelihood because it's just a mom and pop place. Everything's destroyed. They said that they're, I don't know about the insurance. It's one of those too complicated things to translate to talk about and with our limited language ability. But they did tell us we were able to figure out that their refrigerator basically lifted up and fell over in the apartment. That's how much rain they had.
Oh man. Okay, so I got a question, Rob.
Yeah.
So when we had the hurricane last year from now, it destroyed tons of areas around Houston, but we didn't feel it so much because we can just drive down the street and go to somewhere else.
Yep.
Is that kind of is your situation different or the same? Is that like, do you have other
it's
options,
very,
or are you
very
kind of
likely
bogged
to
down?
that. It's like if you live near, like in our area is relatively fine. It just depends on what mountains decided that it was landslide time, and then what rivers were closer to the communities. And if the rivers were a little bit closer together on the bank side, our river was like right next to the train tracks and our house in like the same area. So there are some areas of the river that are just super high, very scary, and then our area is just completely crested over on one side of the river, but not on the other. So
You're back in your house and you're good.
yeah, like I said, we're on the 4th floor, so none of the apartments issued. We did have an issue 2 days ago where something was going wrong with our water pump, I think, outside for the whole apartment complex. I was a little worried because we were getting like some sound, and it looked like there was some mud in our sink for a couple hours. But somebody came by and fixed it, and took a couple more hours before everything's back to normal. But it was nice. I was worried because like, all of the 7-Elevens, we don't have the train, so we can't go get groceries. All the grocery stores by our house are closed, so we had to like ask somebody to like drive us out to go get groceries twice now. So everything's starting to get back to normal, but it's like I said, the trains, I'm going to have to keep asking somebody to take us to the store or go to a couple stores as they slowly start opening.
Makes
But-
sense.
But yeah, that's basically what it was. It was not fun, but like you said, when you had the area, like there's complete zones of Japan that are just like way worse than what we had. Way worse. Like Hiroshima, Okayama, those places are like, I mean, they were like up to the roof in water in their supermarket areas. Like very scary stuff. I mean, there's I don't know if I think there was hundreds of people missing last I checked, and then there was like I think there's under 50, maybe even under 20 deaths or something like that, and most of them were people, ladies and gentlemen, that were like older by virtue of age. I don't want to like come across as being too like focused on the age, but I mean they were like late 50s and anywhere in the 60s bracket that were not evacuating fast enough, or there was a case where somebody got buried alive. It was just really tragic.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, it's just really, really sad.
Hmm.
So anyways, that is the
Well,
natural
on that
disaster
note-
stone at the beginning here.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's fine.
Rob's
we're
okay.
Good.
Well, you obviously have electricity and you obviously have internet, so
Yes.
it seems like you're doing all right.
Indeed.
And you said you have water, so those are the main things.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have the needs. Now it's
Electricity,
just
internet,
like,
and water.
yeah, we're trying to figure out how long it's going to take to get back to normal is the main thing that I would emphasize with a lot of people. Is the new normal is what's going to be around for a while in a lot of areas in Japan. Ours is going to be a
Sure.
lot faster than most, but
It's a blessing.
Yeah, I'm sure that insurance companies are not exactly happy about natural disasters, but people sure are if they have good
Yeah.
insurance. But I don't know how it
Nope,
works over here.
That's a different nightmare.
Yeah.
So
Okay, shall we talk about BoomsDAAAY in a different light?
Yeah.
Oh
Let's
gosh.
get to it.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over
Yes,
because I've been talking
please.
way too long. Eve, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so they released a really funny. People were saying cringy. I didn't cringe. By now I'm used to him and the way he does things. And just like over the top silliness video for the BoomsDAAAY project. If you haven't seen it, go see it on YouTube or on their Twitter channel, and it's hilarious and it's amazing. From now on, I think we're gonna expect to see like a card that's teased but not given all the information of, because they've done that twice now. They did it in the Witchwood before we knew what Hagatha was going to be, and now they've done it for Dr. Boom, what his incarnation is going to be, where they showed like the top part so we can tell it's going to be a warrior hero card, and it's going to be Dr. Boom, but we have no other details.
and
the
if they don't
abilities
do
or
it
anything like
exactly
that.
the same way, we're gonna go to Reddit. Mark my words, Reddit's gonna get a new thread. That's what I'm gonna do.
Here's the thing: wouldn't Reddit also complain if it was the exact same thing every time? Wouldn't they be like, "You're just rehashing. You've done this
Of course they would.
already. Can't you be original?" Yeah. So
course
anyway,
they would.
beautiful, hilarious video about the BoomsDAAAY project, which is going to be the next expansion, which seems to be mecha. Like, definitely has a mech theme and a scientific kind of project theme. And yes, I think most people enjoyed the mechs the last time here in
Well,
Goblin.
I loved the video because well, two things. One is I have been waiting for an expansion that has mechs in it for a long time, because the Goblins versus Gnome expansion is what got its teeth and claws into me for Hearthstone, and the flavor of all of that is just my favorite for as far as Hearthstone is concerned. But two, it was like watching an updated Hearthstone version of Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like, and it was like down to like every time they move, they have this little like those little sound effects. If you ever watched that show when we were all kids. Rob, did you ever watch Bill Nye?
Dude,
Do
I
you?
grew up on that.
My man. All right, good.
But my parents
I
didn't
figured
like the
you
rap
might have.
songs because it was too bad.
The parodies
Super
that they
conservative
would...
parents.
My parents thought they were funny, but
You can watch Bill Nye, but you have to realize.
Help me
you
out
can't
with the
watch
name of
songs.
the main character, Rob.
What are you talking about?
Because I was going to say
Bill?
Mike Donay,
Bill.
and I know
Bill,
that's
Bill.
wrong, isn't it?
Kozak. Kozak.
Thank you.
I just remember
Kozak.
from Witchwood when
Kozak.
Brode's like yelling it in the forest. Kozak.
Steven Sensei. That's why I said him, because I couldn't remember his name and I didn't want everyone to know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you guys all know who I'm talking about.
I love
right.
that they transported the intern. That was the only funny part to me, is that he like got turned into the new Netherstorm like animated area. And the best thing too is that Raunchy Animations teamed up with them to do that. And Raunchy Animations is the one that brought up all those super funny
I love
Twitter
And he's
clips.
gonna have more.
That's
Like
And
he
there's
already
more,
said
yeah.
that there's more coming along. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
look
that's
for
why
more
his
of those.
animations have been like gone for the last couple months. Like he hasn't done any animations on his YouTube page because he's like literally partnering with Blizzard to do this.
Which is so cool.
That's super cool.
That they reached out to like a community member and were like, "Do you want to do this
Now,
expansion?"
I
with
wanna
us?"
put in a little jab here because I know that you guys really enjoyed it, and I grew up on Bill Nye, and I still thought this was cringy, in my opinion.
What?
I watched
Why?
it, and I was like, this is the first time they've done an announcement for Hearthstone where I was actively skipping parts.
No.
Like the first time I watched it, I just couldn't do it. I was like, this is too much. This is too much.
My favorite was the female scientist who was just like, "I'm forced to be here and I will participate, but I won't."
Rob,
look
do you live
happy
in
about it."
do you live in an apartment that's on the 4th floor or an ivory tower?
You'll never know. You'll never know. I can show you my bathroom, and it is very much not ivory. Yikes.
I don't want to know. Keep
Let's
me out of your
give you a
bathroom
little
behavior.
bit of detail of what we know about the BoomsDAAAY project. So the release date has been given, so we don't have to wonder.
On purpose
August
or no?
7th. Like they actually told us. It's August 7th. There's going to be 135 cards. There will be a legendary minion or hero card for each class and a legendary spell for each class.
That's exciting. We've been saying it. We've been calling it. Well, technically, they've already had legendary spells, right? The
Can you
quests
call
are
quests
technically spells,
legendary spells?
but they're kind of they don't feel as there's much agency with quests. Quests feel like it's like a switch. You just flip it. Okay, quest time. Boom, flip, done. It doesn't have as much strategy.
Well, they
involved,
all
per se.
work the same way, right? In the exact same way.
Mhm.
So it's almost more like a hero card rather than a legendary. It doesn't give you so much like wiggle room of it could be anything. It's only going to be within the parameter. So
Mhm.
I think saying legendary spell means it opens up more possibilities.
Well, you get one in your deck, and you have to draw it. You don't just get it automatically at the beginning of the game, like the quests. So that by itself makes it more interesting. So we'll see.
Okay, so the BoomsDAAAY Project card reveal live stream will begin at 10 o'clock a.m. PDT on July 23rd on the official Hearthstone Twitch TV channel. We thought that this was the only time we were going to start hearing about new cards, but then they gave us a new one.
in the raunchy animation.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering if that was just for him and we're still waiting for the live stream, or there's a possibility we'll still get cards leading up to that date.
Haven't they done it that way in the past though? Like they say this is the big release date, and then they kind of
Yeah, what they haven't
trickle 'em
done
out.
yet is they haven't told us what is happening between now and then. This is like very unprecedented,
Well,
and
Midsummer.
it's really odd because like, okay, so let's get this straight. July 23rd is a reveal stream. So that gives you 14 days between that stream and launch. So you have 2 weeks between that stream and launch. And we got the news about BoomsDAAAY. Was it like Monday? I don't remember when we got it. Was this last week that we got the
Yeah,
announcement?
it was last week. Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have like 3 weeks from the announcement to this time. Or maybe it's like 2. It's probably like 2, right? Yeah. It's like 2-ish weeks is between the announcement day and the live stream. And then we have another 2 weeks between that and the launch day. So we have 4 weeks of quote unquote card reveals. Okay. And if there's anything, like they said, 135, and we got what, 5? There's a this is not going to be a fun endeavor for us podcasters. So we will be choosing and picking.
We
a
deal with
very
this
small
every
amount.
and it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Challenge accepted, Blizzard.
Challenge
I think
accepted.
we're probably going to get another raunchy animation, and if we get an animation, we're going to get another card. That's what I think. Like he wouldn't
Yeah.
just do one without a card.
So we'll play it by
So-
ear. We're not quite sure how we're gonna go
What do you
about
think?
this with the drip feed not like being super crystal clear, and they're not really communicating with us. So we'll figure it out. Shall we
Be
get
fun.
into what cards we have, or do you want to get into the little features like the board and Draxus?
Let's talk about the new things that we know of that are going to be coming in the expansion, like magnetic.
Magnetic. What is that?
So it's a new keyword we're getting. Magnetic minions can fuse with other mechs to combine stats and other keywords. So you cannot fuse it with anything. It has to be a mech. And the mech doesn't have to have magnetic on it. Like the one that's sitting on the board can just be a mech.
Mhm.
And then you have your magnetic mech. And when you put it down, depending on which side of the minion you put it down on the board, it will either just become a minion, so you can use it that way if you wish to just have a minion, or it can fuse together with your mech minion on the board, and it takes its stats and adds it to it, and whatever card information you have on it, like taunt or death rattle or buff. So which side do we have to play it to fuse it?
I think it's on the right, right?
To fuse, play the magnetic minion to the left.
Ah, 50-50 chance.
To the left, to the left.
And there is an animation
Just
in
remember
the
that
system
song.
that will let you know if you don't want to fuse it, where to put it. Because what happens is there is a like chain lightning linking effect, almost like the things are electromagnetized together when you put it on the left.
Mhm.
And when it's in your hand, it'll like have the magnetic thing, and like the board will have something like sparking. But you put it on the right, they're just still sparking. But you put it like start inching it even towards the left a little bit, there's like this connective lightning that links the two. So
Mhm.
you have like this little graphical representation that is really nice and not color linked for you colorblind people out there. I know Kibler was probably going to mention that this is good for colorblind folks because it's completely different animation visually, not just color representation like they did with effects like the yellow border or the green border, and how they redid the rush border to not necessarily have green like it was going to hit the when it hits the board, but it has like the little feathers on the outside that it can like still
Yeah.
move and do its thing. Or not feathers, I guess it would be leaves. but-
So as you put it down, it's going to be really obvious what's going to happen.
Yep.
So you can't accidentally mistake whether
That's
it's
good.
going to sit and be a minion or whether it's going to fuse together. You're going to lose that card essentially, right? Because it's going to be like a buff. Peter Whalen said to think of it like Blessing of King.
So I put the card
So-
that they gave as an example on our stream. So this card is a 3-mana Hunter mech that has 2 attack and 2 health with magnetic. And then it also has the added feature. It says Death Rattle, destroy a random enemy minion. So, isn't there a card that does this already? That's not a spell.
Destroy a random enemy minion?
There's that.
Yeah.
Isn't there that elemental that does 3 damage when it dies, right? What's that
Yeah,
elemental?
Yeah, I don't
Murmuring?
think there's a destroy. There's
is
like
it?
Inspire.
I think it's a volatile
think,
elemental.
or stuff like that.
Maybe
but
something
there's
like that.
no destroy as far as I know yet.
Yeah,
Jack
this is like
spell.
very much similar to like the mind control effect that, like as far as like agency and liability that's on the board when you have Sylvanas on. It's kind of the idea
Mhm.
there. It's going to destroy something, so it presents itself as a threat, but you can take your enemy minion with Sylvanas, and this one's like, I can't take it, but I can sure kill it. So
Mhm.
now, do we want to talk about this mechanic a little bit more in depth? Because I feel like I had a lot of thoughts when I was reading Magnetic as a buff card, because it's ideally it's something that lets you maneuver around counter spells, and also I'm not quite sure how this is going to proc with things like mirror and image within Mage.
Okay, so he's answered to those already,
Okay.
and it's not going to proc.
If it hits the magnetic thing, but if you play it as a play minion, it'll proc it, I would imagine.
Yes. If you play it as a minion, it will act like a minion, but it's not going to trigger things like blast. What is it? The blast one?
Blasting runes or something like that?
The
Explosive
secret that
runes?
mages
Explosive
have.
runes.
That explosive runes. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not going to proc that when you put it down because it'll act like a buff if you use it like a buff.
Oh, okay, but if you use it as a minion, if it's the only thing on board or you're not attaching it
Yes.
to something, it's
Yes.
okay. That makes
Right.
If
sense.
you play it like a minion, it will act like a minion and it'll trigger
Mhm.
everything normally like a minion. But if you play it like a buff, it's not going to trigger things like counterspell because it's not a spell. It's
Yeah.
not going to trigger things like copy a minion, like the mirror image and different things like that because it's not a minion. So it's kind of like in between and it's going to get around a lot of stuff.
I think it's just like really interesting because it adds a whole new dynamic and layer of complexity that we've only seen very minimal dips into within like discovering or adding conditions like with Ravisar Runt, where it's like if you have 2 minions then you can do this, or like with Nesting Rock,
Right.
if you have 2 minions gain taunt. If you have a minion on board that's a beast with Crackling Razor Maw, then you can adapt it. These are type of like buff things, and then you have the ones that are like adjacent. So this is kind of like sort of like a hard buff mixed with positioning, sorta. Where positioning doesn't necessarily matter. It's more conditional in the fact that you need to have a mech, but you do need to have board space to get an advantage of the minion. So it's not like
if
you
your board
can
is
have
full, you can't use it
right.
because you still have to kind of use it like a minion first before it comes
But
to buff. So
I do like how you can, like, for example, let's say you're playing against like an aggressive mage with explosive runes and you think that that's what they have down, and you have this card. You're like, well, I could buff it and avoid the explosive runes if I'm low, or I could trigger it if it's early, make sure it pops, and then I can get my benefit of the death rattle right away, depending on what the
Kill his
benefit is
mana
of
worm.
your magnetic thing. So you can kill their mana worm. And the other thing too is so far we only have one of these. So there could be a lot of different things that we could be anticipating that you can gain from magnetic. Because right now, all we know is that you get attack and defense, and this one card says you can destroy an enemy minion when it dies.
Right.
So I'm real interested to see what other things we get, and there's a good chance that this card isn't the best one because we've only seen one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there's also a good chance that there could be a legendary one that has a really crazy effect with magnetic. Maybe there's like all minions on your left automatically magnetized to this mech, even though they may not be magnetized. Something like a Voltron effect like
and
we
give
had
it
with
ultra win for
Mimiron's
your
head, right?
Fury.
Yeah. So I feel like this effect is something that is just really cool and something you want to monitor. And also an effect that is so volatile in how flexible this ability can be that this is probably on my target list for watching very carefully as we get more cards and as expansion launches. You know what I mean?
I like the fact that it's pretty cheap. Like, that doesn't look too expensive to you, right? 3 mana for a 2/2 that could either just drop or add its buff
Grant?
to another minion.
I think it. Well, I mean, in answer to your question, Eve, I think it's fine for what it does.
Mhm.
I mean, being able to take out a minion's kind of nice. It's silence bait, or they have to play differently around it. I think magnetic, but the point I was going to say is, I think magnetic is probably one of the most, at least judging by everything we know about it so far, it has the potential to be one of the more complicated mechanics in the game.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, they had to create like special animations just so people wouldn't get confused, and they're still gonna, at
Right.
first, and there's gonna be somebody out
Yeah.
there that thinks, "Oh, this is dumb. Why would you make this and this and that?" I'm anxious to see what the overarching community response will be, because a lot of times when stuff gets really complicated, people don't tend to play it a lot. You know what I mean? Because maybe they don't feel they understand it, or they don't understand the power of it. Like Patron was one of those examples. Like, it was complicated, and so not everybody played it or
Right.
could play it. You know what I mean? And that was just utilizing sequencing and, how many guys can I get out in a turn, and
Ooh.
stuff like that. So I
That
think
thing's
that
like, Grant, what do you think of that? They could, like, I could even see them taking this as like a archetypal flavor that they could either implement as a new archetype type thing with the mech side of a class, because they're giving more class like identity within these things. Maybe they can like spin it to be something different, or they could add on to something similar to the Blood Rays or the Whirlwind effects within Warrior. It could be really interesting if they do this with like weapons, to like when this weapon dies, give its I don't know, something magnetic, or I don't know. It just seems like
Well,
there's so many things that they could do.
I think that at this point in time in the lifespan of Hearthstone, or the arch, I guess, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
I think that they needed to bring out something kind of complicated, and we actually shouldn't be surprised, because I think 2 or 3 expansions ago, they were talking about how they had really, in the earlier stages of Hearthstone, talked about a lot of positioning mechanics, which is what this is, and what they could do and stuff that they had thought about. And they kind of said, no, we liked it, but we thought it was too complicated or too difficult. But what they did like was that they liked how you had to really think about it and how it offered a lot of
Sure.
variety and modularity into the game. And I think maybe they just thought of, okay, now's the time. I think people need this new thing to chew on, this new thing to really refresh the game. Um, I
I hope
predict
there's
there's
a
going to be
lot of them. Like
I
I
predict
hope
there's going to be a lot of interesting cards that maybe don't get used for a while because
because
of the
you
nature
remember
of
when
this.
we had like the odd and even, we were like, there's gonna be so many, and then there weren't.
Well, the power, like we said with odd and even, is different than this fundamentally because
Yes,
odd and even benefits from cards that don't say odd or even requirements or just like strong two and like odd and even cards in and of themselves. So that was a really good mechanic in that light. And
Right.
again, Eve brings up a great point because not only do we have a bunch of new cards, we have a bunch of new ways that we need to interpret them on an entire different realm of power scale. And
Right.
why this is going to be, I really hope the community doesn't get too like flipping out over when we get like these powerhouse cards, because I feel like balancing this anything after odd and even is just gonna be a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like,
I love the versatility of this. I love where you can choose to have an extra body, or you can choose to buff something you already have and give it an ability. Like that in and of itself, at any point in the game, you could be like, I need another body right now.
right?
Or the thing that I already have, I need it to be a little bit stronger so it can trade with something that it couldn't trade with before. And just
Mhm.
having that choice is really good. So I hope that there's quite a few of these cards, and I think it'll really infuse interesting things to a meta.
Yeah. So
But
before we
let's
move on,
yeah.
I wanted to highlight, because you brought up the odd and even thing. I was gonna say this later, but you brought it up. So, but the odd and
my
even
fault.
thing that I want you guys to maintain looking at is the power level or the seeming strength of cards, in what they have potentially. Not necessarily like power level because we can't really predict that, but just like this, the innate ability for them to be super flexible or super useful for 1 mana and 2 mana cards are where you're gonna see, the most increase in if this card is going to be considered to be worthwhile for an odd or even archetype, especially with the odds. Because, man, if you get like a bunch of really strong like 1 mana and 3 mana cards, and the hero power, like with Paladin, as we saw, is just going to be outrageous. So you have to be very careful with stuff that you do to consider that. But let's keep moving, Eve. That's a good idea.
So Omega. Omega is a new keyword that has something to do with your card being different when you have full mana, which I love. Because there's so many times when you have like a card that's great in the early game, but if you draw it in the late game, you're just like, oh, great, it's
You're
2,
sad.
3, right?
Right.
But now it's going to be, if it's your end game and you pull this, it's going to have a completely different ability if it has Omega. So the example we got was Omega Defender, which normally is a 4 mana 2/6 with taunt. But if you have 10 mana crystals, and they clarified this, they don't have to be 10 full mana crystals. You just have to get to the point of the game where you now have 10. It doesn't matter if they're empty or full.
Mm-hmm.
It gets plus 10 attack. So 4 mana 10 with
12/6.
Oh, right.
Plus
'cause
12,
it already
not
has
2 to 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. 12/6
Mm.
with taunt. Wait a minute. It doesn't have a mech tag.
Nope.
Not all of them will. Some might, though.
Yeah, but look at the picture.
Maybe it's just an oversight. They could probably fix it.
This should be.
Grant, what do you think of this mechanic? I've been dying to hear what your thoughts were for this Omega thing, because this thing seems really cool.
I love it, because like a four mana 2/6 really isn't that bad, right? I mean, at least for this particular card. Yeah, I was thinking Twilight Guardian is a
Right.
it was a 3/6 with taunt, and it was fine for 4. 2 doesn't trade quite as well, but we all know that it's not a big deal. I like it because those pesky, those pesky Tarantuses, just don't die very easily. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could see a lot of application for these types of cards that it kind of gives interesting options, I think, to aggro decks. Some of the stuff that we've been seeing, like I was thinking about, a lot of the stuff makes Big Druid interesting both in how to counter it and how to play it. Like one of the cards we'll see later gives you 2 mana for, what is it, 1?
1.
And your opponent as well. It's like, oh, Big Druid's going to be good again, but like, oh, but then these cards exist. So they're thinking about the archetypes that exist currently the archetypes, or maybe they are, I don't know, the archetypes that can counter it, how they can't counter it, and what can be done, because some things are just, like always, whenever you get a new set, everybody's immediately plugging those cards into what currently exists and how it can make it even more busted or not. So,
I think they have a couple flex spots open to
Of course they do.
adjust if they feel like they need to adjust. But this project was, you know, half done way before we started our last meta in the Witchwood. So I
Well-
don't think it's a reaction to the meta we have right now.
Probably not. I mean, they probably had these cards designed for a year or so. Well, I mean, think
That's why you
about
have a
like
final
one of the
design
reasons
team.
why even lock is good. Even lock is one of the things that's really great about even lock is late game you can put a 7/7 with taunt down and a mountain giant. You know, if you have a big hand, and that's really powerful. So for 4 mana late game to drop a 12/6 that has taunt, that's a problem because 6 health is hard to get rid of. Any minions with 6 health are difficult, like water elementals, things like that. You don't want it; just they're hard. Uh,
And
just
this is a
because of the
neutral.
nature of that health. And
This
it's
is
a
not
neutral,
just a
so I mean,
druid card.
it's not just
Yeah,
a druid card,
this
but
is true,
druid would
it's
like
neutral.
a card like this. You know what I mean? Dang, if you ramp up
Priest-
fast with druid,
Priest would love this card.
I mean,
Also, I was thinking about this lading in white, Grant.
oh
What?
gosh,
Oh my
6/6 with
goodness.
taunt, and then you gain 10, so it's a 16/6 after 10 mana.
it'll be doesn't Lady in White double all health and stats? It doubles
No,
everything,
it
right?
just it's inner fire for your deck. Basically, they match their
Oh, that's
attack to
right.
their
Oh.
health pool.
Oh,
And
that's right, that's
also
right.
the card says if you have 10 mana, it doesn't mean that the mana cost changes when you have 10 mana. It's still 4 mana. So you can still have 6 mana left over and get a 12/6 with taunt for 4 mana. That's the
I was
craziest
thinking-
thing.
I was thinking Emerus.
Oh my gosh, Grant, that's so stupid.
that's so dumb. Like
Oh
it's
jeez.
Emerus new meta.
Goodness
Okay,
So it's like, well,
so
let's see, 4/12, then add 10. So
are we ready
14.
to move forward?
Yeah, we
14,
can
12.
move forward. This card's crazy. Or this mechanic
Okay,
is crazy.
so
This mechanic
they
has a lot of
announced
potential.
something called Project Card, and the flavor is supposed to be like you and your opponent are now project buddies, like science buddies. So if you use this card, it's going to be something good for you and your opponent, which you may not want. Like
King Mukla.
Biology Project, which is a rogue, I believe.
No. This is a
No, is
druid.
that
Biology
druid?
Project's the druid
Oh,
card.
I'm thinking of the legendary
The
spell.
legendary
Right,
spell.
you're right.
Yep.
So it's a 1 mana druid spell, which says each player gains 2 mana crystals. So they were just talking about it. So it
That's a
seems
big
like
strawberry.
everybody's probably going to get one of these going forward. I think maybe there'll be more than one, but probably for every class, we're going to get a project of some kind. And if you play it, both you and your opponent get the same thing.
Now this is 2 mana crystals, not 2 empty mana crystals. That means when you play it, you get 2 mana to use.
Kind of like
Yeah.
Nourish, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you get the benefit
'em.
before they do. They have to wait till their turn before they can use it. So it's still quite a bit.
You have
for
initiative.
You on your side. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you can get that. They were saying like the pros are freaking out about this card already. Like that's how strong this card is.
Because it's
So
a
just keep
druid
that in
card.
mind.
It's like, seriously?
Well,
It's
and that's what I was
permanently.
that's what
It's
I was
not-
thinking about, like big druid. Like big druid's so draw dependent. Like you have to kind of draw the cards in the right order in a certain time frame, or else your opponent can kind of just get ahead of you. But like Okart's a card, and that thing's good, and you get out Okart on, okay, yeah, my opponent has 9 mana, but can they do what I can do with an Okart? Blip, how do you
Yeah.
like having all
What
these?
can they
huge
do with
minions?
9 mana? Yeah.
I'm
that's a
curious
good
as to what this
point.
looks like when you have 10 mana crystals. Like, is this just literally like a 1 mana innervate from previous? Like you pay 1 mana and get 2 back?
You know what? I think
Are
he
they
answered
permanent
that, but I
crystals?
don't remember what it
They're
was. Yeah,
permanent,
they're
right?
permanent.
Yeah, that's a lot better than Innervate.
Yeah.
Because I know if you
It is.
use a 5 mana for like if you wanted to be crazy, right? Like you used this happened a lot. If you use Nourish with Fandral, you would get both effects, right? So even if you had 10 mana and you use this with Fandral, you would get 2 of the mana crystals, so Nourish would just cost 3 mana outright. So I would imagine that this is still like that. If you have full mana and you use a couple spells, you kind of go down, let's say you go down to like 7 mana, and you have a biology project in your hand that's kind of sitting dead because you just ramped super fast. You play Biology Project, you go down to 6, and then you go up to 8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1 mana gain a mana on top. Well, 0 mana gain a mana. So it's like an innervate.
I want
to
to know what big fatties are going to come out. Like big bombs are going to be dropped in the neutral end in this class specific stuff for Druid. That's going to be able to just take advantage of this because it
Grant,
seems
this is-
like
You can do a 9 mana
I don't like
play,
it at all.
or you can do an 11 mana play with this card, and not necessarily have to run innervate anymore. It's a
My
it's a
brain
good
is just
innervate
going,
on
why? Why do this? Why give this to Druid? Why?
eh,
It fits their archetype. It just does.
will they be losing anything in the future? Nothing coming up in the next year, not for another almost year, right?
I mean, it might just be too slow. There
It
is
might
a
be
world
slow.
where this could just be too slow. Because giving up your
Possible.
turn 1 play in this next meta, if we learned anything from the Mech Mage meta, 1 mana was super important not to do anything. Right? Like,
Yeah.
if you do nothing on 1, you're probably losing the game. We even had that in the last meta with Witchwood, with, like, the odds and even stuff. Like, there's turns where if you don't have a card to play, it's over. And even if you're playing a card and just ramping, it's not enough, because you're just taking too much
Steven-
damage.
Steven Sensei in the chat says on coin you could turn 1 Flappy Bird. Oh no!
Oh, we missed
No.
that so much.
Turn my Flappy
we
Bird.
were so sad when we
No.
couldn't do that anymore. Okay, so the theme of the legendaries is going to be inventors. Like each class is going to get a legendary inventor, or in the case of warrior, they're going to get Dr. Boom. But we
Dr.
already got to
Smash.
see the mage invent.
That's not the Mage Inventor.
Stargazer Luna?
She's just
Oh, I don't
fourth
have
class
that
legendary.
card. Shoot. Okay. Can we do the Shaman one instead?
Okay.
Real quick.
Let's do
And
it.
I'll try to
The
go track this
shaman
card down.
inventor is Electra Storm Surge, 3 mana, 3/3 elemental. Battle Cry. Your next spell this turn casts twice. So it has to be this turn. It's not like she goes out and now you get double all your spells for all of eternity. It's just one-time deal. You play this and then you get double spell. And they already confirmed if it does have overload, you will get overloaded twice, whatever the cost is
Yep.
for each spell. that
Makes
you play.
sense.
But
So in
Yeah.
Wild, you can hit them with Jade Lightning for 8, and you have no downside. Oh, Aggro Shaman lives.
and you would get 2
Cast it twice, yeah. Oh, no.
golems.
Woo!
You get a 1/1 golem and a 2/2 golem, depending on how many you had already cast. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be. really
That could be pretty nasty. That's a nice turn 7, isn't it? Is it
I
a
like
3?
that
It's a 3 cost
already.
3/3, right? Right, the minion. Did I read that right, or am I not paying attention?
Yeah, it's a 3/3/3/3.
Okay,
3,
that's
3.
what I thought.
Yes, and yeah, it's an odd. So what do we have in shamans right now?
Even Shaman's the only kind that exists, so
Yeah, so that doesn't slot nicely into even, but it'll be a new
This
archetype.
card is so good.
There was
That card
one
is
other thing
good.
they said. Oh
I
yeah,
think it's
that's
good.
right. So it goes the way of whatever you target, it will target that again, right? So
Right.
if you target a minion, it will automatically target it again. It's not like you can choose the second time around to choose a different target. So
kind of like how Bran used to work, right? Like, so
Yes.
if you did Blackwing, what was that
Corruptor?
guy's name? Blackwing Corruptor. He would
Yeah.
hit for 3 and then hit for 3 again on the same minion, or a Fire Elemental will hit for 3 and then hit for 3 again.
and if you
Yeah.
have something that casts randomly, I don't think Shaman has anything that just chooses random targets anyway, do they?
Unless you're talking like Volcano, which is random, but they cast
Right.
it twice, so
Yeah.
30
but
30
that was-
damage on the board. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. But so much overload.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I was talking with some people at this card, not being a shaman expert in the slightest, but being a shaman connoisseur and an elemental lover. This card is something you can get from Servant of Kalamos at a higher offering rate within Shaman.
Right.
Mhm.
So even if you're not playing, blah, 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 you cannot play it. You can do something like that. If you want to play this card in Wild, you can do some pretty crazy shenanigans potentially with Malygos. It's really difficult because it's only like the best case scenario is still a 50-50, which Schwal and I were talking about. Because if you want to play the Ancestor's Call from Goblins and Gnomes, it would still 50-50 choose Electra or Malygos, so you don't really have control over that. and you lose the battle cry, and you're just like sad train wreck. But this card, after talking with Schwal and Steve a lot about it this week, I think is just like a really good tempo closer card, similar to Leroy for like aggro shaman. More than anything.
I like
and we were also thinking about some extra burst stuff. We also said that this could just straight up fit as an extra card that really just does a lot of work in Shudderwalk lists.
Yeah.
Especially when your Shudderwalks start becoming 1 mana. After, like, if that's what you want to do, you could get your Shudderwalks to be 1 mana, or you could just do a really weird Shudderwalk build where you're running like Ancient Mage and the Tuskar Fisherman, where it's just giving spell damage, and then you play Shudderwalk for the battle cry with Storm Surge, and you just can play a spell that's twice, and you just get a bunch of spell damage, and then I cast it twice. So if you Lightning Bolt, like, think about that. Like, Lightning Bolt with Malygos does 8, right? So if you, and then this says casting the spell twice, which means this battle cry can't get you any more benefit than twice. It doesn't like quadruple if you play this battle cry twice. It doesn't work. But if
it's cheap enough, like 3 mana is so cheap that you could chain this together with a bunch of stuff.
yeah, and I mean, you could play this with Zola. Like, you could do something where it's just like you play something and spell it, and then play Zola for 5. So it's a 5 mana, and then you have another 3 mana left over from that turn. Sorry. So you basically have this, and Zola is 5 mana. So you can play a spell that's 5 mana or less. That means you can do anything you like. You could do Bloodlust. You could do Lava Burst. Lava Burst does 10 damage. And then the next turn, if you happen to draw your other Lava Burst, you have a Storm Surge in your hand. You could just play it again. You just deal 20.
I like it with Bloodlust.
Grumble
that
that
so far has
bubbler.
been the funnest sounding thing.
Yeah, the crazy thing and the nice thing
Or
that they've done
Evolve.
with... Yeah, the Evolve thing seems to be the best so far. But that's a wild turn. That's not something you could do here because it's just going to give
And we
you...
can talk about Wild. Wild is fun. Wild is cool.
Yeah.
Wild
Yeah.
exists.
Don't be a wild bigot.
I'm not being a wild bigot. I'm just being somebody that doesn't play it like most of the community.
Grant and I will speak up for the people in the wild.
Like most of the community.
Hey, if you're going to put me in an ivory tower, I'm going to stay here. It's nice, okay? It's nice.
What's
the
rent like in an ivory
furnishings-
tower, Rob?
I'm just kidding. All right.
Let's see. What
Eve
do we
wants to
got
talk mage, so
here?
let's go over there. She's not... She might
Yes,
get excited
yes.
about the aggro shaman coming back, though, so that's all that's important, right?
I love me some
Also,
aggro.
this works with Rockbiter, just saying.
I'll believe it. Yeah, because the
Rock
spell's
Biter
not a
Jim.
weapon.
So you could
Jim
Rockbiter and Wind Fury. That was
Ooh.
another thing I was thinking about, was Rockbiter and Wind Fury. Double
Mm.
Rockbiter something, and then give them the Wind Fury spell for 2 mana.
I
Fun.
like the possibilities.
Shaman fun.
Shaping up.
Stargazer Lunar.
Okay, so Stargazer Luna, 3 mana,
Stargazer
2/4. After you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. So I think they're getting really like, we think our community is clever and they're going to be able to figure this stuff out. We're going to make our cards a little more complicated, just a little more challenging, and we think you can handle it. So there were a ton of questions to Peter Whalen about this card. and how
Timmy's
it's
and
gonna work,
Giants.
and-
Rejoice.
Peter Whalen.
So it's a constant effect. As long as this is sitting on the board, this is how it works. If you
So it's
play
an
the
aura.
rightmost card in your hand, you get to draw a card. And then that's the card you're going to have to play because it's going to be the rightmost hand or rightmost card in your hand. And if you play that, you can draw another card. So you could just keep going as long as you have mana. So the
Freeze
things that they
Mage?
said is if you have a spell that has echo or a card, because it doesn't have to be a spell, that has echo, the echo will go into your hand and then you will draw a card. That's the order that it goes in. So you won't be able to continuously play the echo card unless you want to stop drawing cards.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And if you have 10 cards in your hand, then it will give you the echo card and then you'll burn it. Try to.
I think this card's crazy in Quest Mage.
Yeah, it seems pretty.
Because you can play the quest and draw a card if you get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, if you play Stargazer Luna, the furthest card in your right hand that's where the quest reward is going to go. So you can time warp and then draw a card. And and then you draw another card at the top of your turn. So you played Stargazer Luna and the quest in a turn, and then any other cards you happen to draw or have on the far right, you're just getting those as well, as an extra card to draw. So this is nuts, and it's not like just a spell either.
Did you watch the demo video of this card?
Yeah, it's
where
ridiculous.
They did like a tempo meiji kind of thing. They put it down and then just like slapped down a Sorcerer's Apprentice and all these little weenie spells getting drawn up for nothing and just cast them one after the other.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty insane. That seems like it's kind of like the God draw, but
what about in mech decks where they generate a 1-mana spell? Play Sorcerer's Apprentice and Stargazer Luna, and then you can just like draw a bunch of cards by using your mech spell.
Mech Warper into Snow Chugger into other mechs that are real cheap and just have a massive board for one turn.
Yeah, and the key thing here is it's not spell, right? It's card. Right. So you can play a minion. It doesn't matter what the card is. You play it and you can draw another one. So it's like Gadgetzan Auctioneer, but better.
This card art is also really cool, I must say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Luna looks amazing. Sure. And please, more Draenei cards, because could not get enough of them. Draenei's are awesome.
They are beautiful.
We're a little biased here on Velen's Chosen since our representative is
do like the Draenei.
All right. Shall we get into the madness that is the rogue card? And I'm going to let Grant talk about this one because this is his cup of joe.
My cup of joe. So let me see here.
Or deck of crystals, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. Just trying to locate it in the show notes so I get
the animation is so cool with this card from what they teased. It looked amazing.
Did you find it?
I can't find it. In the
okay,
show
it's
notes.
a 5-mana legendary rogue that says Myra's Unstable Element. Draw the rest of your deck.
That's ridiculous.
Pause for effect.
Pause for prep. Pause for prep.
Well, I was thinking about it like when you play against a Miracle Rogue with this card, because a lot of times they'll be playing and they'll be trying to get their spiders out, right?
Yeah.
After they put, and sometimes the dang old spiders just don't want to come out, right?
Them dang spiders.
The dang old spiders, man. I'm like blowing my spider whistle and they ain't coming out. What's wrong with them? Rob almost spit his drink on his microphone for audio people.
Them spider whistles are so dang expensive, and I just spent all this money and no spiders.
Man, and Petco's had clearance on a spider whistle. I went and bought me 5 because you know, $5 a piece is cheap. Anyways, I digress. And so you play that, you're going to get all the spiders. Problem is that's sort of a Hail Mary. I think that's a Hail Mary card more than anything. Unless there's other stuff coming in that like allows you to cycle things back into your deck, which I wonder if that's something that's going to happen.
As you get to 10 cards in your hand, the rest of the deck just burns.
Kingsbane.
Okay, so if people were worried about the animation being slow of like cycling through drawing every single card from your deck, don't worry. Your hand just fills up with 10 cards, and then the rest of your deck just is gone. So if there are spiders in the deck, you don't get them. They just die.
I'm still thinking this is a good Kingsbane card, even if that's true, Grant, because like you can just set it up statistically so that you're just gonna get it. Or if you have like half of the spells, or if you have like most of the stuff set up and you just need to draw it again, or you just need to draw something, you're missing like one piece or something. It's just like, ooh,
I think this is like a searching for lethal card, right? Like you're really close and you just need
searching
to
for
finish
anything
it.
card.
But you have to be ready to kill your opponent because you're gonna be dead then maybe.
It has a lot of potential, I think. I mean, we'll think about how powerful UI is. Like if you played like a druid, you'll be playing them and you'll go, haha, they've got all their cards down UI, and all of a sudden they have all the answers they need, and that's only 5 cards. Well, I mean, yeah, you burn your deck, but maybe
like probably only going to burn like 3 cards.
Well, even if you burn 10 cards,
it's game over.
If you have what you need and you've been pressuring face, I think it's a high skill cap card. That's for sure. Like knowing when to use it and how your deck is set up. Also, it has potential to be a good Togwaggle card. Because that's what you want to do with Togwaggle.
Yeah.
Now,
oh my gosh.
Having said that,
Rogue Togwaggle.
I think there's probably 1 or 2 other pieces that they have yet to reveal that is going to make this card go, aha, I see what they're thinking. Because I don't think they would make a card that just burns your deck just so you could draw through it. I think there's immediate applications, and I think there's yet to be revealed applications.
I don't know. You know what? You might be right. You might be right, but I also just think this is, like you said, it's a powerful card to be like, I need an answer, and I'm going to roll the dice, and I might just pull out of my deck exactly what I need, and it's a Hail Mary. You
I
know,
wonder
that
if they're
could
gonna.
just be what it is.
I wonder if they're gonna publish any more burst cards, because that's what I would want. I mean, that's why you would do
Something
that,
to
right?
balance it out, right?
Well, because how much? It's 5 mana, right? That's a
Well,
lot.
3 with prep.
For
So
an aggro deck, that
prep
is a lot, yes.
you can prep Myra's into Azalina in the same turn.
Honestly, actually, that's how it works with aggro,
That's
right?
a
By
togwaggle
turn
to me.
5, if you're not like ready to kill, you're about to die. So
Yeah.
if you give Rogue this, then it's like on turn 5, I'm gonna use it because I
So
need my answer.
This card gives you a carte blanche to basically be a smork deck, like a true smork deck where you
Yeah.
don't even have to worry about any trades.
There's
Yeah.
still another like good like the other crazy thing too. Like we say every time, right? Every time we look at cards, we're just dealing with what we know. There could be an entire slew of stuff that makes this card way better that in the next 130 cards that we have yet to see. And
A
it's
new
just gonna
card
be
that's
way
printed
cool.
that says, if this card is destroyed, instead summon it.
Also, fun fact: this fits in Odd Rogue. Just food for thought.
Yeah, it would. Aggro is where it's at, you know. Well, I mean, shoot, that's one of the dangers of playing Odd Rogue, right? Is you play
Exactly, just
Odd
run out
Rogue,
of resources.
and you just run out of stuff, and your opponent sets a couple walls up, and bada boom, bada bing, you can't play anymore. But you can
It is
draw
a
10 more
turn
cards.
that you are just drawing cards, though, because you can't put prep in an odd.
That's not entirely true. You could have more than 5 mana in a turn, and if you have 6, you can just dump one of your cards.
Yeah,
because you're gonna have a 1 mana card.
If you're an odd rogue, then by turn 5 you want them.
I'm choosing to
There's a
think
lot
of
of
this
games you can
card
lose.
as if prep doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Just because I want to know like what other things that are kind
Right.
of part of the package, because it feels like they never release rogue stuff kind of in a vacuum, right? There's always sort of
Right.
there's something that it relates to in each
Yeah.
set and or in current sets that currently exist. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling that there'll be plenty of things that rogue can do that will cause all the people who like to do clever stuff with their Hearthstone decks to rejoice. So
Can
I'm
we
very
talk a little
excited
bit
for
about
it.
the puzzle board?
Yeah,
The
while you
puzzle
guys talk
lab.
about the puzzle, I'm gonna pull up in the BoomsDAAAY board, so you guys have something to look at
Okay.
on stream. Go ahead, Eve.
So the puzzle lab is going to be their kind of adventure mode for this expansion, called the Puzzle Lab, and it opens on August 21st, so it will be 2 weeks after we get our set. There'll be a bunch of wings. It says over 100 puzzles to complete.
what?
Yeah,
Sounds like
so
a chore.
I heard
each
you
new
like lethal
wing-
puzzles.
Each new wing has a challenge. You defeat the bosses by fulfilling different requirements. So one of them is called Mirror, and it is explained this way. These tasks challenge the assistant to create a board state where both sides are perfect mirror images of each other. Minion positioning, health, attack, etc. This should yield plentiful data on various means of board manipulation. So it's not just you go in and defeat the boss. It's you go in with a deck that is meant to copy the deck that you're playing against. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
These
There's
sound
one
like
called
they're
Lethal,
if there's
which
100 of them, they'll all be really short, right? Is that the same impression you're getting?
I think
hope
there's just
so.
going to be different variations, kind of like you could have had 100 different bosses you go up against in Monster Hunt, but you don't actually have to beat 100 bosses. There's just a whole bunch of
it's gonna
different
You just have to beat
variations.
1,000 of them
possibilities.
instead, or
Yeah.
and still
There's gonna
not
be a
complete
pool.
it if you're playing against Toki.
We don't have all
Bitter,
the
are we?
answers because we don't have a lot of information about it yet, but I think it's just meant to be replayable. So to say over 100 puzzles to complete, so you could keep going back to this and keep trying, keep doing. Lethal is just, defeat your opponent. But then there's one called Board Clear, which you have to clear the board of all minions every turn. And then Survival, restore your own health. So just like a Healy deck, I guess, is what you would make. Your opponent's hero power is probably just something ridiculous. Do 20 damage to you every turn or something. So you're going to build an entire deck that's just made out of surviving.
Or they could just give you a hard mode and give you the deck, and you have to figure it out.
I want them to give us a deck. I think that would be super cool and easier for the people who don't have a huge collection of cards at their disposal, where you just have to figure out how to use the cards they give to you in the right way, in the proper sequence to get the most out of them. Like, that would be a lot more interesting to me than me having to go in.
So they did the last
I-
two, but not with Knights of the Frozen Throne.
I hope you're right, Rob. I hope that's what they do, because I think that would be, especially for like new players, that would be a lot
Yeah,
easier.
that's what I would prefer it to be.
I
But
feel like there's benefits
see.
and like pros and cons to both.
sure.
Well, people love making decks, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who would love to take the challenge and go in and make their amazing, clever decks. But
Yeah.
ups and downs.
Sure.
Yeah. So, is there anything else
The
that
new board
you
looks
wanted
really
to
cool.
know about?
For audio listeners, the board has some kind of like concoction in the top left with like almost like a plant pod with beakers and flasks and vials. Bottom left has some kind of like stone nether stormy looking teleporting like Tesla like lightning rod. And then the bottom right looks like a crystal, almost like a teleporter like opening thing in the bottom with a crank that looks like you can probably lift up and down, and a cable. And the top right has some sort of like mech. It looks like a goblin could get in the cockpit, and the right hand looks like a cannon mixed with a crystal. So it looks pretty cool. I like the board
Looks
a lot.
like a very clickable board. Like, there's
Yep.
going to be so many things to click.
The Goblins vs.
So
Gnome
much
board is still
distraction.
one of my favorites. So it had like the bomb. You could shoot the missile off. You could shoot your opponent with a laser beam. Like, there's all kinds of fun stuff with that one. But
Oh,
let's
yeah. So,
go.
one more thing. You're supposed to defeat Dr. Boom at the end
Of course.
of the puzzle lab, and then you
Wouldn't
get
make
the
sense
card
if you
back.
didn't.
Sweet.
Like, if you
Have they
defeat all of
revealed
the
the
different
card back
bosses.
yet?
They released the
Yeah,
one
they
that you can
did.
get with a pre-order.
Yeah. The Jiraxis one. But
And then there's a
which
lemon
looks
card
oddly
back
like
that's for
the
this
Legion
month
one.
or August or something that's really
Lemonade.
good. That looks
So
amazing.
beautiful.
The Lemonade one, it looks like it's going to be my favorite one of all time.
I think it is my
it's
favorite
just
card
so
back,
cool.
period. Like,
And
even
it's-
more than my
it's-
Tespa card back. I might have to use that.
It's so effervescent, just glows. It's so pretty.
Whipping out the vocab.
It just makes me happy to look at
I
it.
hope I used it right. Ugh.
But yeah, I think they've already shown the one that you can get out of Puzzle Lab as well through data mining.
Okay.
Find all the cards.
Yeah, you can probably find it in a Hearthhead or Hearthpound or something.
Yeah.
Top decks.
And then something that I guess, sorry,
We haven't talked about
phone's
Jiraxis
going
yet.
off. Yes, that's what I was gonna say. The bundle, which
All
has
right.
been like a big uproar on Reddit, and can we maybe just ignore that
Can we
and
just
not talk about
bask
it?
in the glory of this GIF that's on the live stream right now because it's great. And there's lots of
Fantabulous.
lightning. And Jiraxis mecha form is basically Jiraxis and
Fel Reaver.
Fel Reaver got like attacked each other and then got struck by lightning and put together like Frankenstein. That's fantastic.
I believe the word you're looking for is amalgamated, sir. Jiraxis and a Felreaver.
That word triggers me after playing so much Monster Hunt. No, in
Yeah,
all
it's pretty
seriousness, this
dope.
is really cool. And the voice lines are fantastic. He has special voice lines for specific cards. Like when you play Doom, he says Doomsday and like wipes the board, and it's really cool.
I didn't know that. That's
It's
so
it's an
cool.
Easter egg that not many people were able to find, and I saw it
nobody
somewhere
plays
in the
Doom.
yeah, it's the one guy that plays Doom in Wild.
Ah.
He'd know that
But
he
yeah.
did it, and he's like, I wonder if I'm the first one. And he's putting it on Reddit or something.
Yep.
YouTube.
I love how he says "Ditto, fool!" Like when you match up against another Jiraxis, he says like little introduction thing, and then the other one just says "Ditto, fool." It's great.
Oh, I actually had a game. I was playing Odd Rogue against somebody who had the hero already, and I got out of the fox. Is it the fox?
Blink Fox.
Blink Fox gave me a Jiraxis,
Oh gosh, you had to play
and
it.
I was like, I have to
Yeah.
turn into Jiraxis and then emote and see what happens. And the guy wouldn't talk to me.
Well, did
So we
Jiraxis stuff
didn't-
change
How
at all?
uncivilized.
He didn't say anything when he came out and faced
Himself?
the hero on the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, we know who
Yeah.
the King Jiraxis is, the one that kind of sneaks his way into Rogue. So
But yeah, so there's 2 bundles we're going to be getting. And
Bundle
Mecha
up.
Jaraxxus Warlock Hero can only be acquired, and they say they have no plans to give it to us any other way thus far, in the
Dang.
Mega Bundle. So the Mega Bundle has 80 the BoomsDAAAY Project card packs.
80 for 80.
So what's going to be like our short form for this word?
Mega bundle.
Because I'm not going to continue to say the BoomsDAAAY Project.
Boom.
What's our short form? Like, GVG or Witchwood.
It'll probably just be
That doesn't sound
BDP, BoomsDAAAY Project.
Just call it BoomsDAAAY. People just refer to it as BoomsDAAAY.
BoomsDAAAY?
Yeah.
Okay, I like BoomsDAAAY.
I'm pretty sure it'll be BDP will be the acronym. Either that or it'll be TBP for the BoomsDAAAY Project. But I doubt
It just
that
doesn't
will
roll off
happen.
the
We're all
tongue,
wrong.
though.
We're all
does-
wrong.
It does not roll
BDP
off
sounds
the
good to
tongue.
me. Sounds like sounds like a
BDP.
company
You might
that
be right,
didn't get a
Rob.
good BBB rating.
So the Mega Bundle gets you 80
Poltergeiser.
Boom card packs at a discounted price. The Mecha Jaraxxus card back, a random golden legendary card, and the Mecha Jaraxxus Warlock Hero.
Which is a golden hero portrait-esque, which means you don't get all the golden shiny things unless you have a golden warlock, but you will have the animations and the unique hero power animation as well.
Cool.
Side
But
note.
there's also a cheaper one.
Yeah, I was
So
just
go
about to
ahead.
say that. You want to go ahead?
There's a cheaper one, which is kind of more like what we're used to. 50 Boom card packs, and you get the card back and the random legendary card.
In golden,
so you're
right?
not.
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
You're not going to get the Mecha Jaraxxus Warlock Hero, but you get everything else and 50 instead of 80. So
This
if you
is
don't have the money
fantastic.
or the inclination to go for for Canadians, it's $100. for the big
Also, they said that you can buy both of the packs if you'd like. So you
Yeah.
can get 2
That's
discount
true.
chunks.
one of each.
One of each. And even though you don't get all of the perks of the first pack and the second one, like you don't get I don't believe you get a second random golden legendary for the pack.
You
do you?
Yes, you do. You
You
do.
do.
Yeah.
Oh, hype.
You
I'm
get 2
doing
gold.
that. Okay.
Yes.
Also, side note, if you happen to do this and you just want to get the 50, getting a golden legendary doesn't just mean you get a golden legendary. It means if you get a golden legendary that you don't want, shout out to Wicked Good for potentially having the Lucari sacrifice of the next expansion in golden. You can dust it, and then you can get any other legendary for the same mana cost, or sorry, for the
Yeah.
same dust cost, because golden legendaries and a regular legendary dust. So if you dust a golden, you get 1600 dust. And newsflash, if you want a legendary, that's 1600 dust, so you can get any other legendary you like. You don't have to stick with the one that they give you. So that's why I
Well,
really like this change a lot.
For me, like I already bought the Mega Bundle. I know I'm a major 1%er because of that.
Right.
And it wasn't because of the Mecha Jaraxxus thing. I mean, that was sort of minor incentive. For me, it was
More packs.
I spend that much anyways in expansions. Like I say, always get somewhere around 7,000, 8,000 gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that like if I can get about 150 packs, however means, that pretty much gets me everything I need to have, where I can play all the new hotnesses as they come out and make content. Because honestly, I want to try stuff and see if it's good, see if it's fun, and that's just how I like to play the game. So like I would buy the 50 like I normally do, and then I would always end up buying like 20 or 30 packs as we just kind of went along. So it was like, well, I might as well just buy the 80. I might still buy the 50. I don't know if I can afford that or not, but I don't even know if I need to, because right now I'm almost at 7,000 gold already. So it's a good deal, because anything $1 a pack or less is a good deal. You know, pretty much whether it's like a promo in the mid-year or mid-season, or it's like a
And
new
you get all the
expansion.
stuff at a discount. It's just like
Yeah, and they've
you're
upped
getting
their
a
game.
lot. Yeah, and you
Getting a
help the
golden
game that you
legendary is
play
really
like
nice.
every day, you know? Well,
Yeah,
some
like
of
Rob
us.
said, it's basically saying here you can choose whatever legendary you want. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
choose to dust that golden legendary, it's basically a token for whatever legendary you would like, which is
Sure.
really cool.
Yeah.
But they're still giving you a free random legendary when you log in on expansion day, or like the first time
Is
you
it a
log in
class legendary or
after.
is it just a random one?
It's
a
a random
one
legendary.
from the BoomsDAAAY project, so it's
Yeah.
could be
It could be
Wow.
the hero.
Wow.
It could be the hero legendary from Warrior. It could be any of the legendary.
So people are
Actually, you
salty
know
about
what?
not getting a hero, but getting more stuff out of the gate with a bundle, and just in general with not buying the bundle. That's
It
pretty
could
crazy.
be a legendary spell.
Yeah. That sounds so nice. Like logging in, doing the pre-order, opening day. I have 2 golden legendaries and a legendary class or legendary just vanilla sitting for me. And then I have
And 3
130
packs.
packs if I bought both of the things, right?
Yeah. They're also
130
gonna give
packs, 2 golden
everybody 3
legendaries, and a
packs.
legendary, and then I have a new hero on top of that. That's crazy. That's crazy. I
Now-
might be tempted to get the 51, and I don't even play as much as you guys do.
Yeah.
It's just like a good deal.
It's just great
Well,
deal. It's
it's a great
insane
deal.
value, and it's gonna
did
last
they-
you through a year and a half.
Yes, it's you're gonna get a lot of value out of it. Did they clarify? They said that the
Steven said that it was going to be a legendary that was class legendary. And then and then he said that you can get you still have the same thing like you do with any new expansion where the first 10 packs of your packs
Yeah.
is going to give you another legendary. A
Mhm.
minimum pity timer, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. They're gonna.
That's
have
how
a
they do
minimum
every
pity timer.
expansion now. In the first
Yeah.
10 packs that you open, you get a legendary. And then the
It
pity
just
timer
says
resets.
legendary card. So you're going to get 3 packs when you log in. They're just going to
Yep.
give you 3 free packs
Yep.
and a legendary.
So it doesn't say
So-
class, it's just in general.
No, it just says
Okay.
On the
legendary.
BoomsDAAAY. Hey, quick
Wow.
question. In terms of like was it confirmed that you can actually buy the pre-release special after the release date? So they said
No.
it was
They
Because they
you
were-
can. You
thought-
can. I think
'cause
it's
they put
until
a
the
date
9th.
of late August.
Let me see.
I had
'cause
this in the
I-
announcements, but I can't open it for the stream. Otherwise, everything will go haywire on the stream. But let's see here.
Yeah.
I have this set up here. Let me check. We're going to probably end up cutting. I might end up cutting this in post. I'm just not sure. Logging in after the expansion launch gives you 3 card packs and a random legendary minion from the set. Warriors are getting Dr. Boom as a legendary playable hero, similar to Hagatha.
Mm-hmm.
Does it say minion? Legendary minion?
Legendary hero.
No, I
card.
mean like when it says what you're going to get as a
No.
card because that
No, it
takes
just says
away
let
the spell.
random. Well, it says legendary minion in the Hearth poem post, but I don't think that is a direct copy pasta from the blog post. The blog
Okay,
post is
because
probably officially not
we
that.
do know we have legendary spells now, so I'm wondering if that includes them in the you get a legend. Yeah.
Yeah, random.
Well-
It says 3 card packs and a random class legendary minion or hero card from both the new
Okay,
expansion
so that's
or
going to narrow
for
it
free.
down. It's not going to be any of the spells, and it's not going to be any of the neutrals.
Hmm.
So that will narrow it down quite a bit.
I'm fine with that.
Well, they tend to be, I want to say stronger, but not always.
I think I'd rather have a minion if I'm gonna get legendaries rather than like a spell.
Oh,
or-
side note:
true.
Puzzle Lab is not going to be released until August 21st.
Yeah,
Oh,
we,
wow.
we covered that.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I must have missed that when we were talking about it.
2 weeks after the set comes out. It's not going to come right away. It's
One random
going to
golden.
be 2 weeks.
Okay, here we go. Especially eager applicants can get both BoomsDAAAY Project pre-purchase and the Mega Bundle, though each is only purchasable once per account. You can
Right.
use your new card back in the Warlock Hero right away. Also, it automatically sets the new Warlock Hero as favorite to do you a favor. So,
That's
Nice.
funny.
some people were like, don't buy it unless you want to have it like as your only hero, because that's what's going to happen. And like, I think people were kind of like missing the buck that there's still the favorites tab, so you can choose your favorite, but you can select it. You actually can choose your favorite, and then you can select a different Warlock hero for different Warlock decks if you want. I've done this in the
Of
past.
course you
like,
can. Why would
for
they
Yeah,
Zoo.
I
mess up
don't
their
think everybody
code?
knows that. Like, does everyone know you can pick
Not
a
everyone
different
does know
card
that.
back for every deck, a different hero for every deck? Like, you can go in and do that if you want to.
yeah.
Maybe not everyone
Read
knows.
the manual.
Okay,
Read
I'm
the
going
manual.
to the
You can
shop
Figure it
for the
out.
bundle and seeing if the shop gives any identity on
Okay,
when it
while
expires.
you're looking that up, we'll just briefly talk about upcoming. The next thing in between now and the expansion is the Midsummer Fire Festival. We don't know
Yeah.
exactly when it's going to drop. Unconfirmed. People have data mined that it's going to be Monday. So start saving up your quests so you can get the full amount, because you're going to be getting double gold for quests that you do during the Fire Festival. But this is unconfirmed. Blizzard has not come out and said when it's going to start. It's been data mined. So take
And
that
if you
with a
don't
grain of
min
salt.
max, don't kick yourself too much. It's not that big
Oh.
of a deal
Yeah.
what you're gonna
I
miss.
failed
Not a
so
big
bad
deal.
on that today. I had 3 paladin quests, and I'm like, oh, gonna knock the paladin things out, and then some of the people in the Discord were like, hey, save those quests for the weekend so you can, double your gold. And I was like, oh, I should have done that. Too late.
It's fine.
Oh,
it's
well.
But it's
fine.
Monday, so you got another day.
It's not like we've been
I could save
saving
Sunday's
for
quest.
since the last expansion. We're gonna have
Yeah, I
plenty of
pretty much
gold.
started saving like mid-month of the last expansion,
Yeah.
last release, just because I had what I needed. So
Oh, Eve, I got it.
yeah.
So the BoomsDAAAY project and the Mega Bundle are available until August 30th.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Wow.
So
you
this
can
is
buy
1
them
week after they
after.
open the labs. You can still get it.
That's really, really cool.
So here's what's really cool is you can open all your cards. You can see if you've
How
gotten
disappointed
all of
you
the
feel,
ones that you
and
want.
then you can get the golden one.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm
No,
just kidding.
you can see if you've gotten all the cards that you want and need, and then if you didn't, you can buy the other bundle. Like if you think the big one's going to be good enough for you, and you're going to be able to, with the dust and with the gold you've saved up and everything, to craft everything that you need, and then you're still kind of short a couple of things you really want, then you can buy the other bundle. So you could wait. I
Who
say wait.
waits?
I might do it that way.
Who waits when you have crippling depression from credit card debt? Just kidding.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, that is a really
Anyway.
dark joke. Not for the faint
For
of
those
heart.
of you that remember last year, Ragnaros's Fire Festival Tavern Brawl, you're going to destroy minions to upgrade your WoW emote with fabulous fireworks.
Oh, that was
there's gonna be
so fun.
There's going to be an
I
all-new
love
challenging
that.
PvE Tavern Brawl with a few surprises. All your basic daily quests are going to reward double gold. Yeah.
I will put a link in the show notes for the bundles in case you want to fact check me on that, because I do have the list up on it for the official shop.battle.net. If you guys want to go check it out, it does say in the bottom, pre-purchase the BoomsDAAAY project will be available before August 30th. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the expansion is going to launch August 30th, because they obviously said that, the launch date is the 7th. So
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Anything else, Eve? The website looks fantastic. I'm loving seeing the new mechs. Do you guys have any other things that you're excited about here?
Well,
There's a
there were
new
couple
cute little
things-
robot that looks like a light bulb. Did you guys see that?
No, where's that?
If you go to this website, I'll put it in the chat, and scroll down, there's something that one of the mechs was chasing in the opening clip, where there's like this little like lab coat, like almost like a hazmat suit, but instead of the hazmat top, it's just like a little light bulb, and it's really cute. If you scroll all the way down almost to the bottom of that page,
Oh, so it's just like
oh, yeah, on the
it
decorative
says
side.
volunteers needed, wanted lab assistants. The BoomsDAAAY's mission is to create the most explosive adventuring experience ever. We're looking for highly motivated assistants to help us achieve the scientific breakthroughs that are well engineered, informed by rigorous research, and that, of course, fly in the face of common sense and disregard all concerns for public safety.
oh goodness.
And then listen to
That
this. If
thing
you
is
have past
cute.
experience as a lab assistant, underling, or other kind of henchman, if your love for science dwarfs your need for self-preservation, and if you want to help a team of bleeding-edge scientists probe to the extremes of scientific possibility, then the BoomsDAAAY Project would love to hear from you. Pre-purchase now. So
I love
it's
it.
fantastic. I love reading through this. Also, can we please ahead of time just get all of the flavor text, even if you don't know what the cards are associated with? Like, I just love reading flavor text when they release a card. So just like make it happen. Flavor text is so fun. Ugh.
The only other thing that we had left was I was following all of the question and answers with Peter Whalen about the way the different cards worked, and there was a question about the Omega Battle Cry, and it will work with
Ooh.
Shutterwalk.
That's
So-
scary.
That's
Ye-
dumb.
Well, we only know about one of the Omega battle cries. That could get real out of hand.
Oh man. Oh gosh.
Cripes.
Yeah.
I don't like Shutterwalk. I want that deck to go away still.
Hey,
I don't want it to get
Shaman
better.
being playable in the meta with 2 decks. Come on. It's been so
Yeah.
long since we had
Uh.
the Reign of Terror.
Yeah, I want Shudderwalk to be a 10 mana card. That's what I want. I don't want it to be a 9 mana card so they can cast it more than once if it whiffs.
Well, yeah,
And yeah, we have an iTunes review?
we do.
We do.
Eve,
And your voice went really
I'm
high.
gonna
Eve.
have Grant say it, even though you're excited about it.
I'm just
Yes,
excited
I
to
actually
see
can
it.
find it in the show notes, guys. I'm so good today.
You're welcome.
So it's from Rube RUB311 from the USA, July 8th. It's
I think
titled
that's how
Just
you
the
spell
That's how you
rub,
spell
Grant.
rub.
Rub.
Here's the
I don't
rub.
know.
311.
Wouldn't
Here's the
there
rub.
be an
I don't
E?
know.
Unless you count
Hey,
the
man.
3 as an E, right? Because sometimes people
Hey man,
do that in
this is not
leet
natural
speak.
Ruble?
disaster stone.
Could be leet speak. I don't know. I'm just
It's
gonna.
Ruble.
Rubik's.
Ruble.
That's how you read it. Rubik's. There.
Okay, got it.
Gosh.
Says just the best, outstanding podcast. The content is great, but what I've always loved about the cast is they are warm and friendly and have the kind of perspective I appreciate. In our world of instant gratification, you will not find a more realistic, self-responsible approach to Hearthstone. I've been listening for nearly a year, but after getting about halfway into the most recent episode, Gaming Addiction, I feel it would be appropriate timing to throw my review hat into the ring. Love you guys. Thanks.
That is
That's a
so
very nice review.
sweet.
That was such kind words.
Very kind.
Apparently
Thank
my
you.
voice gets really high when I'm happy.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice.
I'm not even gonna try.
Aw,
Oh,
that was
dear.
great.
Uh,
I can't control
I have no
it,
more
just do
words
it,
for you.
apparently.
I gave you a meme. That's all I can give you. That's the best
I-
gift that we can give.
Oh dear.
Grant,
Never
spare
told
us
me.
with
What?
this
Yes.
segue.
what segue? Oh yes. So is it time to wrap the show up? Is it that time
I
again?
think
Is it
it's that time.
It
We
is
said
that
we were
time.
gonna do
Gotta
ethereals last week, but guess what? Flooding happened, so you got lore instead.
Gul'dan. By the way, Eve, good job on the Gul'dan. I
That
listened
was
to it
really
today when
good.
I was in grass.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Yeah,
very good.
there was a little bit. If you want to like a really quick Dr. Boom, I could read what they wrote on the site.
Okay, go ahead.
Operating out of Boom Labs, a secret world-class facility located in the beautiful purple lightning-racked floating islands of Netherstorm area, near Area 52, the BoomsDAAAY project is the brainchild of the renowned Dr. Boom. Once a researcher at Area 52, Dr. Boom struck out alone and became a rising star in the fields of mech design and rapid catastrophic disassembly.
Oh gosh.
Dr. Boom is at the top of his field, and the time is ripe to tackle new challenges. Enter the BoomsDAAAY Project, a multidisciplinary research endeavor that's sure to change the world forever. Somehow. His team is still working out the details. So far, I mean, we've only seen...
There's a pun in that, Eve. I just now caught it.
What?
Oh
What?
my word. Okay. Listen, don't read it. Just listen to what I said. When I read this. Once a researcher at Area 52, Dr. Boom struck out alone and became a rising star in the fields. Alone as in like a monetary loan, but it says alone like by himself.
Oh,
That's great. He struck
jeez.
out alone. Oh gosh.
Oh, gosh.
That's fantastic.
don't-
only you, Rob.
Sorry.
Only you.
Sorry, I know that was just for me and Hat. Just saying. He'll appreciate that. Shout out to
Yeah,
Hat.
we've only seen 6 cards so far, but there's no World of Warcraft character. All these are originals.
Dr. Boom is a
Electrostorm
WoW
Surge,
character.
Stargazer Luna. Yes.
He's
But
in WoW, yeah.
of the new cards that we have seen, because Dr. Boom has been in Hearthstone before.
Now,
The
Eve,
new ones are all
Mecha
original
Jiraxxus
to
is a Hearthstone iteration on this. There is no fusion with
No.
Jiraxxus and
No.
the Fel Reaver at all. Like Jiraxxus
No.
isn't even in Netherstorm. He's
No.
he's all the way out in the guy that got summoned, right? Or no, that was Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, it was
wasn't it?
Ice Crown Citadel.
Was he in Ice Crown? Was that Mal'Ganis that got
Or
summoned,
was
or was
that
it Jiraxxus?
Mal'Ganis?
I think it was Mal'Ganis.
We just did this like a couple weeks ago. We
Goodness
should remember.
gracious. There's
You
too
should
many
know that.
lords of death and doom.
Yes.
And some are
Mal'Ganis
red and some are
Jiraxxus
purple.
and-
Mm-hmm.
No, as far
This is
as I
true.
know, he's not at all like this
I don't
in
think
World
he's
of
like the
Warcraft.
Netherstorm.
So that's like a cool twist that Hearthstone did as well.
Yeah.
Which
Actually-
I'm on board for. It's cool.
Actually, Fel Reavers aren't even in Netherstorm. They're in Hellfire. That's the
They're
only
in
place they're
Outland.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Fun facts for WoW nerds. including myself. I'm not out of that. Let's wrap up the show. You guys want to find us? You can find us on our website, Velen'sChosen.com. You want to check us out on Twitter, Velen's Podcast. And any other links that you'd probably want to find are on the website, so just go there. If you're looking for deck lists, you're looking for news updates, you're looking for everything, they are on the website, and you don't have to use an app to get there. You can just use your browser on your phone, on your iPad, on your home PC. It's very easy to find. I promise. You can find anything you want. We also have a Discord for the community. This is the people we talk to with the most. If you guys want to get live updates for when the next time that Japan decides to go underwater, you can check out our Discord at discord.me/Velen's Chosen. Goodness gracious. This is a shipwreck waiting to happen every week. Grant, where can people find you?
If you really want to find me, I mean, you really, really, really want to find me, you have to just type in WatchmanHS on Twitter. Where else can you find me?
Say Grant.
Yeah, you can find me in the Discord. Discord is the place. Discord is the happening,
Haven.
awesome, speakeasy of a place. You know, you don't even have to have the password. Just like come up and knock on the door. We'll let you in, and we'll probably have like 20 people say, "Hi, how are you?" And
you can lurk
come
if
on
you
down,
want.
ask questions, try to get better. It is my personal opinion, and I'm probably right, but it's my personal opinion that if you join our Discord, you will do better on ladder.
Yes. If you are
person...
shy and you are anxious, don't worry. You can just lurk and like read what other people write and not say anything. If you have social anxiety, it's okay. Just be there and be a part of the community.
Yep. So, yep.
Eve?
And Eve.
I just wanted to say a quick shout out. Thank you to Steven Sensei HS, Mephistos, Ro Wow, Corrupted Lotus, Zed10925, and Ridiculous Hat for all of the questions that they asked Peter Whalen, and then I copied and wrote them down. So thank you for that.
Copy
and
pasta.
You can find me on Twitter at Loremaster Eve and in Discord, and my BattleNet is Loremaster Eve 1974.
Fun fact, I had to explain copy pasta and what it meant to my wife this week. That was fun.
Interesting.
If you want to find me on the tag and Twitter, on Instagram at the same tag at NotRob. If you want to message me, you can find me on Discord pretty much anywhere. Just hit the ping button. Same tag, NotRob. And I've been absent from OmnicLab, but my man Switch Fox helped us out a lot this last week and helped talk about a bunch of new updates with Andres. So I'll be back hopefully soon on their episode. And I also want to have a special thank you to Jamie S. for sponsoring our show and having the top level of Patreon support. We have no new Patreons, but if you want to support us, that's the best way to do it. iTunes will take your iTunes reviews just like we got from Rub311. And we'll also, if you want to throw us a few bucks here and there, that would help us out, especially with new expansions looming tall and other expenses hitting our families. If you can spare a few to help the show that you listen to and enjoy, that would help us tremendously, and we do share it evenly amongst the hosts, as well as covering all of our costs for websites and other things, including when mics break and floods happen, and Eve's house catching on fire, which has happened in the past. If you want to go in the archives, it's a fun story.
Yep.
In retrospect only.
Fun story.
In retrospect only. I had to get my disclaimer out. Gosh dang it. Wraith, fire him, get him out, escort the minions. They're usurping my authority. I want to avoid a coup. Please, out.
Remember when you were saying that the insurance people were really happy when a natural disaster strikes? Well, my house caught on fire the same time as a whole bunch of forest fires were happening up north, so they loved the timing as well.
I say this to my kids all the time. It's like, this sucks right now, but one day it's going to be a great story. You know what I mean?
And we might actually
tell
end
everybody about how my house caught on fire.
with talking about 2 natural disasters in one episode, and even a small smigget of smigget. What am I even saying?
It's okay. You can make up words, Rob.
I make up words anyways. If you guys want to find us, you know what to do. Thanks for tuning in, and especially those for you in the live stream and on YouTube. Thanks for joining us this week on Velen's Chosen 147. BoomsDAAAY. Just say it like the hump day commercial. What day is it? BoomsDAAAY.
You need to put the camel in the art for the show this week with Dr. Boom's head on it.
I just pictured Jiraxis' head on that camel with a bunch of mecha things and lightning. We'll see you guys next week. Not all who wander are lost, but maybe this Jiraxis would be if you got fused with a camel. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Yikes. It's a big fat yikes. If you guys are on the live stream, I'm not playing that close.